Do you ever feel like you're just running on a treadmill? You're constantly chasing goals, feeling anxious about how things will turn out, and then whether you succeed or fail, you're right back on to the next thing. It's exhausting, right? Well, what if I told you there's an ancient principle, something forged on a battlefield thousands of years ago, that actually holds the key to achieving success without all that stress? Today, we're going to dive deep into the Bhagavad Gita to uncover its secret for navigating our crazy, high-pressure world, and it all starts with one incredible verse. At the very heart of this whole philosophy is this single, powerful verse. Now, these words were spoken by Krishna to the warrior Arjuna, right on the brink of this massive, world-changing battle. And they form the foundation of a totally radical way to look at work and life. Even if you don't speak Sanskrit, just listen to the sound of it for a second. It's like a mantra for finding calm in the middle of chaos. So what on earth does it mean? Let's find out. And there it is. Thy right is to work only, but never with its fruits. Now, think about the context here. This wasn't some piece of advice given in a quiet monastery. It was told to a warrior who was completely paralyzed by despair. Why? Because the enemy he was about to fight was his own family. And in this moment of pure crisis, Krishna tells him, you have a right to your action, to the effort you put in, but you have zero claim to the results. Just let that sink in for a minute. In our world, which is obsessed with results, with KPIs, with outcomes, this is a totally revolutionary idea. The Gita is saying, forget the outcome. Your entire focus should be on the quality of what you're doing, right here and right now. Okay, so what does that really look like in practice? The Gita calls this path Karma Yoga, which basically translates to the yoga of action. And it's not about twisting yourself into a pretzel. It's a discipline for your daily life, a way to turn your work, your relationships, your whole life really, into a kind of meditation. So, Karma Yoga is basically the art of doing things with excellence, but without all the anxiety about what's going to happen next. It's about finding freedom in the action, not trying to get away from the action. And that's a really important difference. The goal isn't to stop caring about your work. No, it's the total opposite. It's about caring so deeply about the work itself, the craft, the process, the effort, that the rewards or failures almost become irrelevant. Now, it is so important to get this next point straight. This idea of detachment is not the same as indifference or just being lazy. Indifference is when you just don't care. You phone it in. The Gita actually has harsh words for people who do nothing but fantasize about results. True detachment, on the other hand, is all about intense focus. You pour every ounce of your energy into what you're doing precisely because you're not wasting that energy worrying about the what-ifs. It actually frees you up for fearless action. And this quote just nails it. The Gita defines yoga not just as some postures, but as skill in action. See, when you act without being tied to the results, your actions become pure, they become focused, they become skillful. You're no longer distracted by all that mental static, the fear of failing, the greed for success, that just clouds your judgment. Instead, you're driven by one thing, doing the work well, for its own sake. And that, right there, is the path to real excellence. So let's flip this around for a second. Why is the Gita so against being attached to outcomes? What's the big deal? Well, it turns out that being fixated on results is incredibly damaging to our minds. And the text is crystal clear about this internal battle that we all face every single day. You see, according to the Gita, our real enemy isn't out there. It's not your competitor, it's not a tough boss, it's not a bad economy. The real adversary is inside you. It's that insatiable desire for things to turn out a certain way, and the anger and frustration that boil up when they don't. This desire, which is born from attachment, is called the all-devouring foe because it literally eats up our peace of mind. This shows exactly how that vicious cycle works. It all starts when we get attached to a specific result. I have to get this promotion, or this project must succeed. The second you do that, two shadows appear: fear of failure and greed for success. Then everything you do becomes tainted by this anxiety. And here's the real kicker. This whole cycle leads to unhappiness no matter what happens. If you fail, you're crushed. But even if you succeed, the good feeling is gone in a flash because you've already attached yourself to the next outcome. It is a perfect recipe for burnout. Okay, so we've seen the problem, but what's the solution? How do we actually take this ancient wisdom and apply it to our emails, our meetings, our day-to-day lives? Let's get really practical. Here's a kind of blueprint for a brand new work ethic pulled straight from the Gita. First, do your work because it's the right thing to do, your duty or dharma, not just to chase after some personal craving. Second, practice being even-keeled.
The Gita says to be balanced in success and failure. That mental balance is yoga. Third, change your perspective. Instead of thinking, I am the one doing this, try to see yourself as a channel, an instrument for the action. This helps dissolve the ego that gets so tangled up in results. And finally, you consciously let go of or abandon the fruits of your actions.
Let's make this even more real. For a coder, it means falling in love with writing elegant, beautiful code, completely separate from how many people download the app. For a manager, it's about dedicating yourself to clear, supportive communication and helping your team, not fishing for compliments. And for an artist, it's about getting lost in the process, the feel of the brush, the mixing of colors, rather than daydreaming about the gallery sale. The point is, no matter what you do, this mindset shifts your source of happiness from some external result to the internal process itself.
This is probably one of the most beautiful metaphors in the entire text. Just picture a lotus leaf on a pond. It sits on the water, it's supported by the water, but the water itself just beads up and rolls right off. The leaf never actually gets wet. That's the ideal state they're talking about. Being fully involved in the world, in your work, but inwardly you remain untouched by the chaos, the drama, the wins, and the losses. You do your part, but you aren't stained by it.
So, where does all this practice lead? What's the ultimate payoff for letting go of the results? Well, it's something far more valuable than any promotion or paycheck. It's a state of deep, unshakable inner peace, a stillness you can find even when things are at their most intense.
Okay, this next one is a little bit of a mind bender, but it's really the highest level of this whole philosophy. Seeing inaction in action means that even while your body is busy and your mind is working hard, a deeper part of you, your inner self, is perfectly calm, just watching. And seeing action in inaction means realizing that someone can be sitting totally still, but their mind can be racing with 1,000 anxious thoughts, performing all sorts of actions internally.
And this, right here, is the ultimate freedom that the Gita promises. It's that state of flow we all crave, where you can act with all your power, all your intensity, but your mind is calm and peaceful. You finally let go of that nagging ego that's always screaming, I did this! This result is mine! This is where your work becomes effortless, where it becomes a joyful expression instead of a stressful burden.
So I'll just leave you with this question to think about. What about all those projects you've put off, or ideas you haven't tried, or conversations you've been avoiding, all because you were afraid of how it might turn out? What could you achieve? What would you do differently, starting tomorrow, if you focused only on the action itself and truly let go of the results? The Gita suggests that you wouldn't just find peace, you might just unlock your absolute greatest potential.